Canada's housing agency says rents in some major Canadian cities are easing for several reasons. That's certainly good news for renters who've been through a lot in recent years. Lukas Jasmin-Tucci is a market analyst for Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. He joins us from Montreal. It's nice to see you.
Hi.
You released your midterm market update today. You're seeing asking prices for, let's start with two-bedroom apartments. They seem to be going in the right direction for renters.
Yeah, so for the asking rents, what we're seeing is a decrease if we look at the first quarter of this year compared to the same period last year. So it means that landlords, compared to last year, for units that are vacant with no lease signed, are asking for rents that are lower than last year. But if we take the market as a whole, it doesn't mean it translated as a lower rents for the market on average.
Okay, you looked at several large cities, as I mentioned, Halifax being one of them. What are some of the indicators that may be leading to easing rent prices?
So the main factor is demography, and this is something that we'll see across Canada. So Halifax, there is no exception there. There are changes in policy, which reduces the number of migration. And because of this, there's less demand, especially on the rental market, because we know that when people move, when there's a migration, most of the time people tend to go towards the rental market. So when there's those type of changes, population that increases more slowly, usually it translates into less demand. And because there's less demand, it's a bit slower to fill rental units, especially on the high end, the newer units. Those one we're seeing a slowdown in the market. And this is why it translates into asking rents that are lower this year than they were at the same time last year.
We're hearing of some stories of landlords offering incentives to try to lure people to their units. Is that being played out again across Canada?
Yeah, this is something that we hear across Canada. In Halifax, the vacancy rate was 1% during 3 years, so it's a period where we were not seeing this, and last year it changed. So we can see that there's a change in the dynamics of the rental market. Those incentives may come back. It can be 1 month of free rent. It can be a free internet, free parking. This is something that we didn't see before, and it's an indication that there's a change in the dynamic, a little bit less demand, more competition.
A lot of the real estate industry is about trends. So should we expect that this might continue in the coming months?
Yeah, so this report confirms what we were already seeing at the end of last year, which is a market where demand is a bit slower, and also there has been a lot of new construction in rental, and this is coming to completion, and we're seeing a lot of supply added to the market. This is something that should continue towards the end of the year, and when we have less demand and more supply, in the end, the result should be that the vacancy rate continue to increase, just like we saw last year.
What about an overall affordability? We talked about the two-bedroom price point, but when you look at sort of across the board, what's happening?
One of the reasons that we're seeing asking rent decrease is that we might have reached a limit to the capacity of tenants to pay. Higher rents cannot be asked simply because the share of what paying your rent in your overall income represent is too high. And this is also something that we saw increasing at the beginning of the pandemic, and this is stabilizing right now. So it doesn't mean that suddenly affordability is better, but we're noticing a slowdown in the share of rent in income.
So we've seen the upper limits, perhaps, so that how far that renters can go before they simply are tapped out.
Yeah, and when we talked with landlords, they continue to say that there is increasing costs to manage and keep the buildings up to date. And those increases in costs were reflected in increases in rents. But where we are right now, it seems that it cannot increase at the same pace. The rents cannot increase more because we've reached the limit of what renters are able to pay.
Well, certainly there will be a lot of people who make could be watching this who are renting will be very happy to hear that, because it's been a difficult period for them and for landlords as well in many cases. Lukas Jasmin-Tucci of CMHC, thank you for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more of your local news.